wanted to turn West Virginia into an economic backwater, you would try to implement the education results that we've seen. Despite spending per pupil above the national average, despite a national per capita income being well below the national average, our test results were terrible. And unfortunately, that's why we are where we are as a state. We're trying to reform the system, not for some abstraction. We're trying to reform it for families.
People don't realize how West Virginia could be the place to change America. I think it's important to try to innovate and to reimagine, re-engineer, and redesign the current system.
We have to have that education back. Without that, we're not a free people.
My name is Matthew J. Watts. I'm the senior pastor and teacher of the Grace Bible Church of Charleston, and I've been pastoring here for the last 25 years. I'm a native of West Virginia, and I've lived all but 2 of my 64 years in the state of West Virginia. I physically live on the west side of Charleston. My church is located on the west side of Charleston. It is viewed as one of the worst neighborhoods in West Virginia in terms of the crime rate, the poverty rate, slum and blighted conditions, poor performing schools, particularly at the elementary school level. Suspension may be the single most significant factor that drives children from the schoolyard to the prison yard pipeline, and that every suspension moves them in that direction.
I think West Virginia and maybe Appalachia kind of writ large is one of the last places that you can really make fun of. You know, we are sort of we're a late night comedian punchline. That hurts, it really does.
My name is Jennifer White. My husband is Brian. We live in Barboursville, West Virginia. We have 3 kids. Ethan, when he was little, he was always ready to go anywhere, all the time. When we started public school, it got a little tough. As he got older, we thought, well, you know, first grade, he's not having a good time with reading, so we started to investigate different options and had him evaluated, and he had moderate dyslexia. Okay. Dyslexia is a lot of things. It's very complicated, and it manifests in different people different ways. It's surprisingly so common, but it's at the same time, a lot of the educators, they're just not trained, so they just don't speak on it, and they don't really know.
Education really touches everybody. It touches the rich, the middle class, the poor class, working class. It doesn't really matter. And to the extent that that mechanism is broken, then I think we begin to understand why other segments of society are broken right along with it. So when Cardinal got started, the education landscape in West Virginia was frankly desert-like. I mean, if you want to use that sort of analogy. We were one of the few states in the country that did not have any form of school choice, whether that was charter schools or private school choice programs like education savings accounts.
We found that there has been a huge discrepancy in discipline and suspension, particularly of African American children versus everyone else. What was the most alarming and disturbing is that it's just simply been ignored by the leaders at the state level and at the county level. So what happens, suspension, you know, it drives absences for a lot of students. And that means they're missing academic instruction. Well, suspension also drives truancy because those suspended days are unexcused absences. Truancy is the #1 factor that brings children in West Virginia into the juvenile justice system. We think that this may be the valve, that if you put your hand on this suspension thing, we keep kids in school and connected, then we got a chance to maybe they will have a better educational outcome.
I think the status quo in West Virginia, and this is not just in education, but everywhere, is that one size fits all. And that is not the case. Everybody's kids are different. And I think to the extent that we can design an education system that recognizes that and allows us to complement strengths and build up weaknesses, that's a very good thing.
And there are some children that are overwhelmed. They've been abused, they've been neglected. They're not motivated to learn. They're greatly discouraged. Their spirit has been crushed. And they create problems in the school for the other students that want to learn. But most of them are still trying.
You can feel ashamed. You can feel isolated and lost. And it is really, really, really sad. It's a desperate feeling because you can't help it. They can't help it. It's just where they are, and they just need a special approach. All right, you ready?
Yep, let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Basically what it's like to have dyslexia. If you're reading a sentence and there's one minute little word that you change out, I guess that's what it would be like. Or kind of replacing the sentence and saying it a different way.
Good job, baby. Good work.
You switch letters and words around in a sentence or almost completely change the sentence entirely.
I knew tons of families that had kids with dyslexia. It sort of became a mission for me that we truly need an army of tutors to address this. We need to highlight the issues and the lack of tutoring in the area, especially here, but truly all around the country, there's a lack of the service for kids. I now have 3 students outside of my own 3 kids.
Innovation is fundamentally about discovering what works. And so what does that look like? That looks like Jennifer's tutoring service that she has set up to tutor dyslexic students in her neighborhood, in her city. It may look like Reverend Watts and the battles that he's fought for decades to look at different types of disciplinary problems that we see in West Virginia's African American neighborhoods vis-a-vis white neighborhoods or poor neighborhoods and perhaps wealthier neighborhoods. And to the extent that you put a lid on innovation, and as it relates to education, you're putting a lid on potential. We have to have an above all solution. We have to let a million flowers bloom.
It brings God's kingdom inside. I believe that we need a menu of options that communities and that parents can select from. I believe that if we have a model that allows flexibility at the local level, a model that empowers a local governing body, a model that gives that principal the authority that he or she needs, that engages parents and engages the entire community, I think that the current system can be changed.
Every kid is different. Every kid learns in a different way, and they deserve to have their needs met in the way that they need it.
We got 685 schools. There are 270,000 children that are in those schools. So we need to do something that creates a model and a template that could be the game changer for those 685 schools. They deserve better leadership. I still believe that change can and will happen. So we'll keep fighting on